Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys anime episode review. This time I'm talking about episode 112, so let's get to it. Episode 112 begins on a cruise ship. Ash, Lillie, Lusamine, Chloe, Gladion, Mohn, and Goh are all aboard this ship, and they are on their way to the Alola region. So this episode begins shortly after the end of the previous episode, which is a nice bit of continuity. Chloe says that she is nervous about going to Alola. Goh says that this is understandable since Chloe has never been to the Alola region. But Ash reassures Chloe, saying that she should not worry, since everyone in Alola is very nice. Chloe then says that she wants to ask Ash's friend all about Eevee. She is of course talking about Lana. The episode then cuts to the Alola region. Mallow's father and brother bump elbows since they are both happy with the food they prepared. Hala then tells everyone that today is a most joyous day because Mohn has returned to Alola. Everyone claps in celebration, they welcome Mohn back, and they say that they are glad that he is safe. Kukui and Burnet are among this crowd. Mallow, Lana, and Sophocles then greet Lillie, and they welcome her back. Lillie is happy to see them and she embraces Mallow, which is so cute. Lana also pats Lillie on the back saying, "You really did it." Sarina, Sandy, and Togedemaru then greet Snowy. All of them, trainer and Pokemon, then celebrate their reunion together, which is wholesome. This is witnessed by Gladion, Ash, Chloe, and Goh, who all smile. James, Faba, and Wike then happily greet Mohn and Lusamine. James and Faba are so happy in fact that they cannot help but cry. Mohn apologizes for making all of them worry. Faba then tries to embrace Mohn, but Rotom appears to introduce itself to Mohn, so Faba ends up crashing into Rotom, which is funny. Rotom says that it's a pleasure to meet Mohn, who says that it's a pleasure to meet Rotom. Hala then says that it's time to begin the feast. Ash sends out his Pokemon Journeys team, while Goh sends out Cinderace and Inteleon. Everyone then begins to eat. It's nice to see all the Pokemon eating together. It is especially cool to see Ash's Alola team eating together with Ash's Journeys team. It's also absolutely adorable seeing Lusamine interact with Lei. Sandy and Chloe's Eevee then run into each other when they try to eat from the same plate. After getting to know each other, they start playing together, which is cute. Chloe and Lana then greet each other. Chloe wonders if Lana will talk about her Eevee, and Lana says that she will. They then sit down to talk. Chloe wonders what Lana will evolve Sandy into. Chloe says that she and Eevee have come across a lot of Eevee's evolutions. I think that she means to say that they have encountered all of Eevee's evolutions, not just a lot of them. Chloe goes on to say that despite this, she still does not know which of the 8 evolutions Eevee wants to evolve into. Lana says that there is one more choice, to stay as an Eevee, that Eevee can choose not to evolve like Ash's Pikachu. Chloe says that she realizes now that Eevee has 9 paths, not just 8. Lana then says lots of possibilities, which Chloe repeats, and the two of them then smile. I honestly thought that Chloe and Eevee's journey was over since they met all the evolutions. So the only thing left for them to do was to decide what Eevee will evolve into. But now I see that there was still one more stop in their journey before they reach the end, the Eevee stop. I think that it's nice that Chloe and Eevee also get to meet another Eevee, even if this makes not evolving an option, which would be fine, but it's not what I prefer. It's also nice that the Eevee that Chloe and her Eevee get to meet is Sandy. Also, since Chloe and Eevee met Serena and Sylveon, May is the only one of Ash's friends that has an Eevee/evolution that Chloe has not met. Hopefully, this will happen in the future, though Chloe and Eevee already met a Glaceon. The episode then cuts to Goh, who wonders where Kiawe is. Mallow and Sophocles say that when they told Kiawe that Ash was returning with Lillie, Kiawe was shocked, with a classic, hilariously exaggerated expression. And he took off on Charizard so that he could seclude himself in Wella Volcano to train. Gladion says that this sounds just like Kiawe, while Ash says that he wants to battle Kiawe. I love that upon hearing this, Ash's Alola team and Lucario roar, like yeah, let's battle, showing that they are all just like their trainer. Dragonite, Gengar, and the Sirfetch'd on the other hand are like, what is going on with them? Showing that they are not so much like their trainer. While Dracovish is unfortunately absent from this shot. Lillie then says that Ash was amazing in his promotion match. Goh says, oh, you watched the battle, Lillie. And Lillie says that she did. She saw the battle in an online stream with her big brother. I love that Gladion chokes on his drink here, because he is embarrassed due to the fact that everyone now knows that he was watching Ash's battle. Mallow then says that they all watched the promotion battle as well. They gathered at the Pokemon school to cheer for Ash. Sophocles says that Ash is Alola's first champion after all, so of course they would support him. Ash blushes as he thanks them for their support. Sophocles then says Champion Leon is participating in the Masters tournament as well, right? Ash confirms that this is the case, and he says that defeating Leon is his goal now. Sophocles says that this goal is totally something Ash would do. I love that while Ash is talking about his dream, Kukui and Burnet look at him like, that's our boy. They are clearly proud of Ash. Mallow then tells Ash to do his best, while Lillie says that she will cheer for Ash. Gladion, however, walks away, and he continues to walk until he reaches a secluded area. He then takes out his 5 Pokeballs. He looks at them and he says, we need to train as well. He then sends out his Pokemon. Clearly a fire was lit inside of Gladion when he was reminded of what Ash has accomplished and when he heard Ash talk about his lofty dream. Gladion realized that he should also work hard. The episode then cuts to Kukui's house, where Ash exclaims, "Hey, Battle Royal, alright!" Now Lei imitates Ash, which is adorable. Chloe comments that Lei is so cute, and Lei is like, "Oh, thank you for saying that," which is also adorable. Goh then wonders what a Battle Royal is, so Kukui explains what it is. Also, it's so cute that Chloe plays with Lei while Kukui talks about Battle Royals. Ash then wonders who he will be facing in the Battle Royal, but Kukui says that this will remain a secret until the day of the battle. Ash is dejected because of this, so Kukui says that he will reveal one of Ash's opponents. Ash eagerly awaits to hear who it is, and Kukui reveals that he is said opponent. This makes Ash very happy, and he says that Kukui has to battle as the Masked Royal. This shocks Kukui, but Ash stands firm on his request, which puts Kukui in a bind. Kukui and Ash then dress up as the Masked Royal and Ash Royal respectively, and they do their classic pose, while saying, "Enjoy!" This makes Burnet and Lei smile, but Chloe and Goh are like, "What? That is Masked Royal?" Ash then says that what they did was so cool, but Kukui says that he will not be wearing his mask. This confuses Ash. Kukui says that Ash will be the star of the battle, because Ash is Alola's champion, which is why Kukui wants to be himself when he battles Ash. Ash accepts and understands the explanation. He then says that it's time for some training, and it's funny that most of his Pokemon rush him upon hearing this. They are all clearly eager to battle. However, 2 of his Pokemon do not rush him. Dragonite instead embraces Kukui, which is so Dragonite, while Rowlet is asleep in Ash's backpack, which is so Rowlet. The episode then cuts to the outside of the Battle Royal Dome. Kiawe manages to return from his training trip just in time for the Battle Royal. We also see that a bunch of people have lined up to see the battle, including one that clearly wants to be like the champion. Inside the dome, we see that several notable characters are here. Lusamine and Mohn are here. Burnet, Lei, Rotom, Hala, and Samson Oak are here. Also, it's adorable that Lei plays with Rotom. How and the Decidueye are here, which is cool. Guzma, Plumeria, and several Team Skull Grunts are here, including the classic trio that was always up to no good. It's nice to see so many old faces again. Lillie, Chloe, Mallow, Lana, Sophocles, Magearna, Goh, and their Pokemon and Ash's Pokemon Journeys team are also here. quite the distinguished audience. Though I have to say that it is disappointing that the other kahunas, Acerola, Ash's Alola team, and the All Out brothers are not present. So Mallow says that the dome is packed. Lillie says that this is the triumphant return of Alola's champion after all. And Lana says that the excitement is rising. Faba and Wike then enter the arena since they will serve as the announcers for this battle. After getting everyone hyped up by having them scream Alola, Faba and Wike introduce themselves, and they welcome everyone to the first ever Alola League Champion Homecoming Battle Royal. The two of them also exclaim how happy they are because they get to be the announcers. They then introduce the competitors. The hype was through the roof here, especially since fittingly, the music that plays during the battle with Kukui in the games plays in the background during this part of the episode. So Faba says the first one in the ring is, naturally, the trainer that is set to compete in the Masters Tournament to determine the strongest in the world. It is our champion, competitor Ash with Pikachu. Wike then introduces the next competitor, saying, in the next corner, the founder of the Alola Pokemon League, competitor Kukui with Incineroar. I love that Faba is temporarily in a daze when he sees Kukui, showing that he is still a huge fan of the Masked Royal. Faba then introduces the next competitor, saying, next up in the third corner, Akala Island's Blazing Island Kahuna in the making, competitor Kiawe with MAROWAK. Wike then introduces the final competitor, saying, and the last, but not least, the Alola League runner-up, competitor Gladion with Lillie the Nihilego. Now, no surprises here with the competitors, of course, since it was obvious that Gladion would battle as well, and the other three were revealed by the preview for this episode. Also, it's funny that I said in my preview discussion for this episode that perhaps Gladion would use the newest addition to his team in this battle, but then I said that I do not think that this will happen, given the unique situation of said new addition. Lillie is part of the family, and it even bears the name Lillie, so it feels wrong to use Lillie in battle. Even just saying Gladion uses Lillie to battle just feels off. But in the end, Gladion does decide to use Lillie, which is odd, not just because of the reason I just discussed, but also because Lillie has the least experience out of all of Gladion's Pokemon. I would think that Gladion would use his strongest Pokemon in order to ensure that he would be at his best to face Ash. So Mallow, Lana, and the Sophocles are shocked when they hear that Nihilego is referred to as Lillie. Lillie proudly says that Nihilego is the newest member of her family. Mallow, Lana, and the Sophocles are all amazed by this, and Lana exclaims, "Cool, Ultra Beast Lillie." Gladion then stands in his corner, ready to battle, and he looks at Lillie, which reminds Gladion of when he was training with his Pokemon on the previous day. After witnessing a clash between Zoroark and Lycanroc, Lillie expressed a desire to battle. This reveals why Gladion decided to use Lillie for this battle. Gladion then says to Lillie, "Let's show them the results of our training." Ash says battling with Nihilego right out of the gate, huh? Since the four competitors are in their corners and ready to battle, the battle royal finally begins. Also, I thought here, hey, nice, they made my thumbnail for me. So Ash begins by telling Pikachu to use Iron Tail on Incineroar, and Pikachu leaps into action. Kukui counters by calling for Bulk Up, which Incineroar uses to put on some extra muscle. I love that Faba comments here, as expected, a calm and composed choice from the Masked Royal, competitor Kukui. This is further evidence that he is still very much a Masked Royal fanboy. Also, I love how Wike looks at him like, really bro? So MAROWAK uses Iron Head to intercept and hit Pikachu before Pikachu can hit Incineroar with Iron Tail. Before Pikachu can recover from this, Lillie uses Venoshock to hit Pikachu. Incineroar then uses Darkest Lariat to hit Pikachu, so Pikachu does not get to catch his breath. At this point I thought, man, they are ganging up on Pikachu, which is so not fair. I get that Ash is the champion, but come on, This is supposed to be a homecoming. You want him to feel welcomed and special. Ganging up on him is not nice. Chloe then says, "Is it just me or are they only targeting Pikachu?" "No, it's not just you." Goh says, "So this is a battle royal." And Lana says, "A cutthroat battle where anyone can attack anyone. That's what a battle royal is." All the Pokemon then get ready to attack Pikachu together. Lillie with Meteor Beam, Incineroar with Darkest Lariat, and Marowak with Flare Blitz. But like a total badass, Pikachu uses Quick Attack to dodge every single attack. Kukui, Gladion, and the Kiawe all exclaim that Pikachu is very fast. Lillie then uses Psyshock repeatedly to attack Pikachu, but Pikachu avoids every single one with Quick Attack. Marowak then uses Shadow Bone to attack Pikachu, but Pikachu keeps avoiding everything that comes his way with Quick Attack. Marowak also ends up using Shadow Bone to deflect Psyshock. Incineroar then uses Bulk Up, and it tries to stop Pikachu, but Pikachu uses Iron Tail to hit Incineroar, who easily shrugs off the hit thanks to Bulk Up. But it still loses its balance and it falls down. This makes Ash's Pokemon Journeys team cheer, while Chloe exclaims that Pikachu is awesome. Pikachu seems to be hurt and tired, but he soon smiles, showing that he can still keep going. Kukui exclaims, "You have gotten stronger, haven't you, Ash?" Ash says that he has been training every day in order to defeat Leon. Gladion and the Kiawe both say that Ash is not the only one that has been training. Ash then calls for Thunderbolt, Kukui calls for Blast Burn, Gladion calls for Venoshock, and Kiawe calls for Shadow Bone. I love that they show a cool, badass, and stylish close-up of each trainer as they command their Pokemon, while the Pokemon ready their moves in the same frame as their trainer. This really sells the intensity of the battle. So Pikachu's Thunderbolt disrupts and blocks the attacks of the other Pokemon. Pikachu then uses Electro Web. Lillie and Marowak are able to avoid the Electro Web, but Incineroar is unable to do so, because it just used Blast Burn, so it can't move. Pikachu then tries to use Thunderbolt on the trapped Incineroar, but Incineroar uses Throat Chop to escape the Electro Web, and it is able to avoid the Thunderbolt. Marowak then uses Iron Head to hit Pikachu, and Incineroar attacks Pikachu with a barrage of Throat Chops. Pikachu avoids the first few and he counters the rest with Iron Tail, so he and Incineroar clash repeatedly. Lillie then uses Meteor Beam to interrupt the battle between Pikachu and Incineroar, who are both hurt by the explosion caused by Meteor Beam. This triggers Kiawe. Now I love how adorable Lillie is when Gladion says to it, "Good work." Lillie does a cute little dance while making adorable noises. Marowak then hits Lillie with Shadow Bone. Kiawe says that he will be the one who defeats Ash. Gladion responds by saying that he will defeat Ash. So Gladion and the Kiawe turn on each other. This is basically like when multiple people team up to battle the same opponent, only to then fall apart and fight among themselves when they individually try to take all the credit by delivering the final strike. This is a classic trope. Lillie then uses Venoshock on Marowak, who avoids the attack. Marowak then uses Iron Head, which lands a clean hit on Lillie, who is knocked out, meaning that Gladion is the first one to drop out of the battle. After withdrawing Lillie, Gladion says, "You did well, Lillie. Let's train together some more." Mohn says that Gladion has really become a lot tougher. Lusamine agrees and she says that Gladion is just like Mohn when Mohn was younger. Kiawe then says to Ash, "I will use my full power, so face me with your full power." At this point I thought, alright, Clash of C moves incoming. Ash says, "Of course," while smiling. So Kiawe performs the poses needed to unleash his C move, alongside Marowak. It is always so cool to see Kiawe use his C move, due to his intensity. Once the posing is done, Marowak readies and fires off the Inferno Overdrive. However, instead of countering a C move with a C move, Ash instead tells Pikachu to use Thunderbolt on the floor. Pikachu does this, which allows him to propel himself up towards the ceiling. As a result of this, Pikachu manages to avoid the Infernal Overdrive. Kiawe is shocked at first, but then he smiles while saying, "That's what makes you my rival, Ash." I do think that Ash cheated Kiawe here, since Kiawe said, "Face me with your full power," and Ash agreed to this. Yet, Ash had Pikachu avoid the C-move, and Pikachu did not counterattack. Therefore, Ash did not face Kiawe head-on like Kiawe wanted. I guess that since Kukui and Incineroar are also still in the battle, Ash opted to save his C-move for the end, for when he was up against his final opponent. Kukui then interrupts the lull in combat by saying, "You don't have time to stand around," and he calls for Darkest Lariat. Pikachu tries to use Quick Attack to outrun Incineroar, while MAROWAK tries to deflect the Darkest Lariat with Shadow Bone, but Incineroar is still able to hit both of its opponents. While Pikachu manages to remain in the fight, MAROWAK crashes into the wall behind the Kiawe and it falls to the ground. While MAROWAK tries to stand back up, it is unable to do so, and it ends up knocked out, so Kiawe is out of the battle. Kiawe withdraws and thanks MAROWAK, saying that it was a good battle. Ash tells Pikachu to keep his guard up, so Pikachu stands firm, while Incineroar and Kukui stand ready to keep battling. After a brief moment of silence, during which both sides just stare at each other, Kukui says, "Doesn't this take you back, Ash?" Ash smiles and he says, "Yeah." A flashback is then shown of the final moment of the final battle of the Sun and the Moon series, where Pikachu and the Tapu Koko clashed during Ash's battle against Kukui after the Alola League had concluded. This flashback is taken straight from the Sun and Moon series. It is not reanimated, so just like with episode 111, they decided to properly honor the Sun and Moon series and maximize the nostalgia for the series by using clips taken directly from it, which is cool. After the flashback, the audience begins to chant "Champion" in order to cheer for Ash. I do want to point out here that in the audience, there is yet another person with a Pichu on their shoulder. I guess that plenty of people want to be like the champion. Lillie, Mallow, and Lana also join the chant, while Goh is amazed because everyone is rooting for Ash and Pikachu. Chloe says that Ash really is a celebrity. Lusamine chants as well, while Mohn looks around surprised, like, "Man, I guess that Ash kid really is a big deal." Burnet, Lillie, Rotom, Samson Oak, and Hala also cheer for Ash. Now, it is unfortunate that we do not get to see the other notable characters in the audience also cheer for Ash. Ash is then showered with words of support and encouragement from the audience. They tell him to go for it as Alola's first ever champion. They tell him never to forget that he represents Alola. They tell him that everyone is cheering for him. Ash smiles when he hears all of this. Kiawe then says Ash emerged victorious. Gladion completes Kiawe's sentence by saying, "In the Masters Tournament." They both then say in unison, "Use your full power." This is the final drop in the bucket. Ash lowers his head to hide just how touched he is by all the support that he is getting. I have to say that this is it. This is the level of respect, encouragement, recognition, and admiration that Ash deserves. This is the episode that finally gives Ash the treatment he deserves for being a champion. I really was moved by seeing just how much Ash means to his friends, his family, and Alola as a whole. Also, this scene of Ash lowering his head was shown in a special preview. And in my preview discussion for this episode, I said that I realized that this scene is from episode 112. And so, I was confused, because I could not think of a reason why Ash would be sad or dejected in this episode. So I eagerly awaited to see this moment, so that I could learn why he looks like this. Thankfully, it turns out that he is like this for a very good reason. So, Ash passes his cap to Pikachu, which means that it's C-move time. Ash and Pikachu then begin to perform the poses necessary to unleash their C-move. Kukui says, "Here it comes," and he tells Incineroar to get ready. Ash and Pikachu continue their posing, while Kukui gets ready to unleash his C move alongside Incineroar. So Ash and the Pikachu finish prepping their C move and Ash calls for 10 million Bolt Thunderbolt, while Kukui calls for Malicious Moonsault. Pikachu and Incineroar both fire off their exclusive C moves, which soon clash. This clash causes a flash of light that covers the entire stadium. We only see Ash and the Kukui shield themselves from the massive, dazzling light. Eventually, the episode just fades to white, so we actually don't see who wins. The episode then cuts to the beach near Kukui's house, where Ash and the Pikachu stare at the sunset. Professor Kukui soon appears. He and Ash greet each other. Kukui then wonders what's on Ash's mind. Ash says that he is just glad that he came to Alola. Kukui simply says, "I see." Tapu Koko then appears and it approaches Ash. Tapu Koko taps Ash on the head. At this point, I was like, come on Ash, catch Tapu Koko. This hope was born from the fact that I made a video over a year ago talking about the legendary Pokemon that Ash is most likely to catch, should he ever catch a legendary Pokemon. Tapu Koko is one of those legendary Pokemon, and the only one that Ash has re-encountered after I made that video. Hence, why I got my hopes up, especially since Ash is going to need a lot of power going forward. So Tapu Koko then backs away and it starts to dance, which made me smile. I also thought, hopefully this dance means, please take me with you. But Kukui says that Tapu Koko is praying for Ash's victory. This makes Ash happy and he exclaims to Tapu Koko, "I will do my best in the Masters Tournament." Tapu Koko seems pleased by this and it flies away, leaving behind a trail of sparkles. Going back to what I said before of legendary Pokemon that Ash is most likely to catch, it is unfortunate that Solgaleo does not appear in this episode. It could have cheered for Ash as well. On a similar note, Naganadel also should have appeared in this episode. The episode ends with Ash, Kukui, and the Pikachu looking at the sunset, and at Tapu Koko as it flies away. Ash does this while looking very hopeful, clearly inspired by all the support and encouragement he received from his friends, his family, his Pokemon, Tapu Koko, and the people of Alola. He is now readier than ever to do his very best in the Masters Tournament. Now I was convinced that they would at least hint at who won the battle during Ash and the Kukui's conversation here at the end of the episode, but they didn't. So the winner is left unknown, which is unfortunate. I know that the point of the battle was to celebrate Ash, and not to decide who's stronger. But still, not showing who wins a battle is just wrong, unless they cut away from the battle without showing who won for dramatic effect, only to then still reveal the winner but in an indirect or artistic way that adds a unique twist to the revelation. But sadly, this does not happen here. So overall, this was truly a special, one-of-a-kind episode that was able to elicit such a massive amount of nostalgia by bringing back so many familiar faces and by making callbacks to some defining moments from the past, while also being able to build up to the greatness that is yet to come in an impactful way that not only builds hype for the exciting things that will happen in the future, but also by giving these exciting moments more significance and importance, since we now know that Ash is not just carrying his dream and his wishes on his shoulders, but he is also carrying the hopes and dreams of so many others that love him, admire him, care for him, and respect him. Ash will not be fighting just for his sake. He will also be battling for the sake of those closest to him, meaning that he has to win, so that he can live up to the wishes and expectations that he has been entrusted with. Beyond this, it was of course great to see so many characters return in this episode. It was great to see all of Ash's classmates again, this time with Lillie among them. It was also great to see Kukui, Burnet, Lei, and Ash's Alola team again. All of these, minus Lillie, did return in episode 37 of Pokemon Journeys, but episode 112 went beyond, by also having Fava, James, Wike, Hala, Samson Oak, Hao, Guzma, and the Plumeria return. It really was great to see so many awesome characters again. And while I wish that some of them could have been given some more screen time, I understand that there was just so many characters that it is impossible to give them all equal focus. Therefore, I am still quite satisfied with what we did get. Though again, there were some notable omissions from the cast, which is unfortunate. The Battle Royal was very cool, since it allowed 4 of the best battlers from the Sun and Moon series to duke it out at once. Seeing Ash battle Kukui, Gladion, and Kiawe at once really was quite a treat, and it was a dream matchup that I did not think we would ever get. Thus, it was amazing to witness something so unreal. Sure, the battle could have been longer, more intense, and it is a shame that we did not get to see who won, but I was still left pleased with it. Lastly, I love that Ash finally got the recognition, respect, appreciation, and admiration that he deserves for being a champion. This is something that I have wanted to see for a long time, and while episode 76 of Pokemon Journeys was a good start to this, it was not nearly enough. Episode 112 really was a celebration of Ash, and of his title and his accomplishments. He witnessed just how much esteem and love everyone in Alola has for him, and it was touching to see this, since it shows just how much Ash has achieved and how much the people around him care about him and his triumphs. So yeah, this episode really was a remarkable and monumental episode that had me smiling the whole way through. It was an exceptional example of what makes Pokemon Journeys such a special series. A one-of-a-kind series that is, unlike those that came before it. But that's the video, as always. Leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.